ThinkTech Hawaii. Civil engagement lives here.
Good afternoon and welcome to Pacific Partnerships in Education. I'm your host Ethan Allen here on ThinkTech Hawaii. Pacific Partnerships in Education, we explore the various kinds of educational programs, projects, and ideas that are floating around the wonderful Pacific Islands. Today I'm honored to have Kara Miller here to help me. Thank you for being here, Kara.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're going to talk about her Marine Summer Camp in Ebeye and sort of, I guess, a variety of related projects. So Kara's organizing for this summer to get a group of high school juniors and seniors, I guess, together in Ebeye and have them explore their local lagoon and ocean environments, right?
Exactly.
So tell us more about this. How did this come about?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this program. I originally met the Director of Education for Ebeye, which is part of Kwajalein Atoll. Those of you that aren't aware, Ebeye is a very small, low-lying island, part of Kwajalein. And as basically a school system over there in Kwajalein Atoll, they wanted to start up a program in the summer that could give kids opportunities to both improve their abilities in English, math, science, engineering, but also be exposed to awesome opportunities that they would normally not be able to participate in or be exposed to. So when we first started talking about the science camp concept, I immediately wanted to do something around the ocean, knowing that living surrounded by this beautiful tropical ocean, all of this is their backyard. It's right there, connected to identity, yet the opportunity to get a mask on and get in the water and check out what's there and learn about it hasn't been previously offered before. So that's where the idea was born. And this will be the first year it's happening. Yeah,
no, and it's a great idea. These kids, as you say, they live next to this water, surrounded by this water, and yet many of them may only occasionally swim in it. They never have really explored it, what's underneath it.
Right.
They don't really know very much about what it looks like down there, what lives down there, what you can do with it. And so this is really valuable stuff because for many of them, this may be how they go on to make a living, right?
Right, exactly. And especially because Ebeye is neighboring Kwajalein Atoll. Actually, you can see in, I think, the diagram, the first one, taken from an airplane view, that Kwajalein, you know, stops at the edge. And then if you look into the distance down the atoll chain, you can see Ebeye. It's smaller and considerably low lying. We joke actually about the highest landmark being a bridge on the island. That's just a meter above sea level. So Kwajalein being right there and having a lot of diving, a lot of wrecks, access to scuba diving, you know, I was thinking that it would be great if the kids on Ebeye could also participate in some of those marine activities that go on, even the data collection around their reefs and coral systems out there.
And I think the first figure we had was showing sort of that overview of the Kwajalein Atoll. And yeah, it is. It's very flat, very low-lying, very a lagoon on the one side, the ocean on the other, as you can see there. And then the second picture sort of zooms into another view of where you actually get to see there's Ebeye, which is just sort of tacked on the end as part of that chain. And I think even the third picture shows a little closer up view of Ebeye. It's one of the most densely populated islands, I guess, in the world. It's like 5th most densely populated island in the world or something like that.
It is. It's one of the most densely populated islands in the world. And another really interesting fact about it is that there are a lot of kids that live on Ebeye. Over half the population or so is actually under 18 years old. So a population between 11 and 15,000 is the current, the city planner is currently citing for the population size. But if you think about it, that's a lot of kids. Right. That's a lot of kids.
That's on, less than half a square kilometer of land. I mean, it's really a tiny place.
That's right. That's right.
I was going to say the third picture, which I don't know if you ever saw that third figure. There we go.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That gives some sense of the scale of you, because you can see the individual buildings relative to the width of the island.
You can. And actually, the far end of this photo here, which I'm super grateful, thank you, Anjo, for providing this photo to me to use today, that's the end that's a little bit closer closer to what's Gujigu. You can see that strip that looks like a sand road. That'll be the end that we're actually doing the marine science camp on. So a little bit further away from the main, most densely populated areas of the city, a little bit easier access to the reef systems, but still very, very contained within all of the communities that live there. Thus, the service element idea of taking this 2-week opportunity to study their reefs and fisheries and coming up with a service project that's meaningful to their island, their family, their communities, that's going to be a really neat experience for the kids.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's one of the beauties of this thing is you're taking and adapting some good science to a very place-based perspective, right? These kids live in a unique locale with strange features, and a lot of them have certainly never traveled much beyond it at all.
Right.
And they should really learn more about it so they can then know, well, just for the value of the knowledge itself, but also then so that they begin to know how to make the most of it, right? How to thrive within it.
Exactly, and that's really, really well said, because I think you hit one of the key kind of party lines on the head, the place-based component of education being very crucial to this project. But also, this was modeled after something that actually started at University of Hawaii Hilo. QUEST stands for the Quantitative Underwater Ecological Survey Technique course. And the idea for QUEST originally was to get kids interested in the ocean outside of the classroom. So leaving the four-wall model of education and getting actually into the water with all of the materials and gear and equipment, learning how to do these methods of measuring coral health, measuring rugosity, texture of the seafloor, learning species of fish, and basically using this outdoor classroom as the means to learn science, math, statistics, and a lot of other things, honestly, that you can incorporate into that model of learning.
Yeah, and it really works tremendously well because our sort of what we think of as normal schooling model is really very much a sort of a European invention, transported to America, and then we grew up as a country with it, so we think of it as pretty normal. But it really was not part of these cultures at all. That's not the way they learned. They didn't go off to school. They learned things at the sides of their parents. They learned how to farm taro or to fish or to do whatever, right?
That's right.
And so this kind of sort of outdoor authentic learning is actually really much more friendly to them, much more something they can understand and buy into, as it were.
Right, and I've heard the mayor as well as the director of education for Ebeye, amongst many other people, whether it's from the leadership or some of the more young adult age group on island, that making education more relevant is of utmost priority for pretty much everybody who works here, lives here, goes to school here. And in addition to the relevance of the marine and the fisheries and the ocean science component, there's going to be a traditional fisher from one of the outer islands coming in to teach the kids this method of traditional fishing that probably the vast majority of the kids have never been exposed to on Ebeye, as well as a traditional sailing canoe builder who knows a lot about building the sailing canoes, and even that is a trait and a skill that isn't found very often anymore. So there's some expertise in some of these more traditional forms of education coming in from the outer islands to participate. I'm really excited about that.
No, that's wonderful, because the kids will then get to see the value their culture has, that this knowledge their culture brings to a modern, relevant set of learning,
Exactly.
That's really that's very cool that you're incorporating that and making it sort of culturally adapted and fitting in to show them.
Right. I'm going to give them a whole vast span of topic and specific areas that they could participate in a unique project on. So there will probably be about 5 groups of students, and depending on their interests and what they view as the biggest needs for their communities and their islands, they can choose their topics. So for example, someone might want to focus on marine debris, which they view as a very, very large issue, versus a sea level rise component, versus culturally important species of reef fish that they use for food. Still very, very, very important to know where all of these important cultural species are found. There's other great projects going on with drones and sea level rise and mapping, and the kids' work will tie in directly to some of those projects as well. And then the picture of the coral farms that we have as well to show isn't necessarily from Ebeye, it's from Koshrai, just from a couple weeks ago that I was out there taking another group of people to explore aquaculture demonstration projects in Koshrai. But this is the type of stuff that we'll be talking about at the camp in Ebeye, and eventually showing to those kids as well. We won't be able to quite start with coral farming, but like an aquaponics system, for example, that the kids can build themselves and then eventually turn that into aquaculture type of projects. That would be something that I'd like to eventually bring out to this camp as well.
Excellent, excellent. And I think you're right on track with offering a choice and letting them pick. Is one of the big things I learned from doing my Water for Life project. I had initially envisioned that we would just go out and we would set up rainwater catchment systems in all 4 sites. But I did bring people from each site together and sort of said, really, you tell me where to do this, what to do, how to do it, as long as it has something to do with, you know, drinking water and saving it. And they all came up with these different ideas. And only one of the sites really focused on building rainwater catchments. Other ones, some did first flush diverters, some did groundwater. So different people have different interests. They suit the community needs, as you said. I mean, they're being very responsive in that sense. And so this is great that you're offering the kids this choice, because that's going to make it. You're going to get community buy-in.
Yeah, thanks, Ethan. I think you're right on that. And for me, I'm a big advocate for empowerment, and I love working with young adults and students. And for me, I feel like when they can take complete ownership over what they're doing, what they're working on, what they're spending their time and energy on, they can truly feel ownership over that project, over that experience. That's what's going to create the meaningful takeaways for them, that they learn, that they get inspired from, maybe sparks interest for people to want to go on and continue marine science studies. And it's great because the majority of the workforce, works on Kwajalein Atoll or a few of these government jobs back on Ebeye. But I see a big lack around marine science, fisheries, any kind of coastal area of expertise. So I think that exposing these kids now, when they still have a little bit of time to decide, hey, what do I maybe want to study? Would I like to go to college? Things like that. It's an important moment to get in and get them stoked about the ocean. Oh
yeah, and I mean, there's a huge regional challenge, right? Because so many young people leave, they go off to go to school, either in Guam or here in Hawaii or on the mainland, and they never come back. Because there's nothing back there for them. At least they see nothing back there for them in the way of a job, a career. So by pointing out, hey, you've got resources here. Other people are farming their oceans basically, and raising corals or raising clams or what have you. You know, raising seaweeds. You know, there are different kinds of things you could do here.
That's right.
And once the kids have caught on to that, hey, we can do this. You know, we know how to learn to do this.
That's right.
Yeah, and then it's like, hey, there's a reason to come back, to stay in the community, to help the community thrive.
That's right. I honestly see the students that I'll be working with this summer as the next generation of leaders. And whether or not they're going to be leaders on the island of Ebeye or not, they're still going to be becoming the next generation of leaders for the Marshall Islands. So personally, I believe in strengthening their capacity to collaborate with all the different institutions that all want to work in the Marshall Islands now, you know, with all of the new data on sea level rise and climate change, and some of the most recent funding opportunities. For example, a big grant from NASA, a few others from NOAA, a few others from the Department of Defense. A lot of different players and people with various expertise, experiences, want to put resources, whether it's in the form of people or technology, towards addressing some of these challenges that are on the horizon. And I want the kids on Ebeye to be part of that, part of those discussions and part of those solutions.
Excellent, Cara. We're going to dig into this more deeply, but right now we're going to have to take a quick break.
Okay, great.
We're here, you're with us on Pacific Partnerships in Education. Cara Miller is with me. I'm Ethan Allen, your host here on ThinkTech Hawaii, and we'll be back in 1 minute.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrea Gabrieli. I'm the host for Young Talents Making Way here on ThinkTech Hawaii. We talk every Tuesday at 11 a.m. about things that matters to tech, matter to science, to the people of Hawaii, with some extraordinary guests, the students of our schools who are participating in science fair. So Young Talents Making Way every Tuesday at 11 a.m. only on ThinkTech Hawaii. Mahalo.
And you're back here on Pacific Partnerships in Education. I'm your host, Ethan Allen, here on ThinkTech Hawaii. With me today in ThinkTech Studios is Kara Miller. Good to have you here, Kara.
Happy to be here.
We've been talking about the summer camp on Ebeye that she set up, Marine Science Summer Camp. Teach a bunch of high school students more about the ocean around them, the lagoon around them, the things that happen in the ocean, the projects they could possibly do, the ways the ocean can help support them.
Right.
And, you know, this sounds great. How did you get the community sort of to step up and be part of this and support it? Because that's critical in the region, I know.
Yeah, that's a great question. And in fact, this is 100% a community initiative. So in my last position with the Department of Interior, I was spending quite a bit of time working closely with the Ministry of Education in the Marshall Islands. And I was specifically working with the Associate Commissioner for Education on Ebeye, Jelton Ann Jane is his name. But he has a team of amazing leaders behind him. The mayor, for one, Mayor Kabua on Ebeye, and some of the other people like Scott Paul, the city planner. These are people who are running around finding incredible opportunities, leveraging their resources and their networks, expanding their networks big time, finding people that would like to work in Ebeye and participate. So this really came out of a larger initiative around education in the community. There was a big education conference that took place, first of its kind for Kwajalein Atoll. I was lucky to attend part of it a couple years ago, or maybe it was just last summer. And then the summer camp idea was really born, and the pilot year was last summer, and volunteer professors came out to lead the various subject matters. And about the marine science and the ocean in particular, I didn't have to work very hard to find people interested in supporting that. I think that everybody wants opportunities like that. It was really more just a matter of connecting with me, somebody that wanted to lead something like that. And from being involved through my work at NOAA in the past and my work with Quest and some other in-water camp-style opportunities that I was assisting in various other Pacific Islands in the past, I came up with the idea of basically diluting the current Quest model, making it only snorkel-based and much more relevant for both the level of cognition around science and marine science and even English, as well as the Marshallese students in Ebeye. So it is modeled after Quest, and it was an initiative that came out of the community there. But the rest, honestly, Ethan, is going to be a pilot working it out this summer. It'll be the first time I'm getting to be with the kids down there, so we'll be able to flesh out things that work and don't work, and I'll find out what the community really liked and didn't like, and we'll be able to improve it for future years afterwards.
Yeah, no, that's so important to be flexible and have that kind of.
Yes.
I mean, everyone who's working in the region is sort of trying stuff out all the time. And yeah, that's. We have to talk to you later about our solar kits. I don't know.
Yes, I really want to incorporate you guys as solar kits. They make amazing solar kits down there. Another cool project.
Yeah, ways to get kids communicating and using modern technologies without relying on the rather unreliable internet of the region.
Right, or even the reverse osmosis that is used for fresh water that needs so much maintenance. No one wants to learn how to operate those things. So I think a low maintenance but high tech engineering, really STEM, making STEM fun for the kids. I think that's a fantastic project.
Yeah, excellent. And so I know there's another component that we didn't really talk about yet, but it's health and wellness.
Right.
And that's pretty critical. I mean, a lot of Ebeye has tremendous health issues from being very crowded and very limited water supplies, right?
Yes. Yeah, so how the ocean and the health of the ocean and the connection to the ocean ties into human health. Human health, family health, community health, whatever level you're discussing it at, the two are inexplicably intertwined, and you can't really discuss one without the other. We'll approach it from that from that component. But actually the other kind of lens that we'll use to discuss all of this through is the leadership and the empowerment lens, and knowing that health and wellness, not just physical, but mental, emotional, spiritual, you name it, is a very, very important component of being your best leader and being ready to tackle all of these challenges and stay sane and be able to empower your staff and empower people around you. So these are honestly more life skills. I view them as life skills. I view them as communication skills and interpersonal and intrapersonal relation skills. And all of that will be taught through a wellness lens. I'm a 500-hour certified yoga instructor, so I do a lot of wellness type of work with people through yoga, as well as other empowerment and leadership work through yoga. So I'm passionate about bringing some of that to the kids that I'll be working with, as well as the community. So when I'm not with the kids doing marine science and marine education, I'll be offering yoga classes at the Health and Wellness Center in Ebeye every morning that I'll be there for the 2 weeks. And honestly, just creating forums to have dialogue around health and wellness. So I plan on working quite a lot with the young women in particular, and again, that will be led by the areas they want to talk about. And they're always sensitive subjects to bridge sometimes, so we'll see how much progress we can make in the 2 weeks, but I know that from me being with them and being able to talk about these things and practice yoga in a safe space, also having fun in the ocean, that's the perfect kind of environment to talk about these kinds of things in.
Absolutely. No, it's really critical, again, appealing to stuff that's relevant and meaningful to the population that you're trying to reach out to here.
Right, right.
And I think you're quite right in trying to do multiple things, get the community involved from sort of multiple strands of the community in this, and thinking about what it is you're doing.
Definitely.
And some of the other activities, I know we had another, I think another figure or two on some of these other activities that you're going to try to do some explorations with the kids?
Yeah, I think so. We're going to get out into the natural vegetation as much as possible to talk about traditional medicine. So around health and wellness, I know that the Marshallese have very culturally important species of plants, for example. It doesn't quite look as lush as this jungle shot from Koshrai, Sleeping Lady Mountain, but I believe in utilizing the traditional knowledge around the coastal ecosystem, not just the ocean. So we're going to get into some of that natural coastal vegetation that's useful for sea level protection, whether it be storms or runoff kinds of purposes, as well as those that are used as medicine. And I've just spoken with some of the older generation on Ebeye and heard a lot about this medicine, and the plants aren't as readily available as they used to be. So I'm definitely planning on incorporating some study and knowledge learning. Hopefully I can bring in one of the aunties to talk to the kids about some of the traditional plant medicine as well. If we can do a trek out to try to find some of it and talk about the connections of the ocean and the land species connections, that would be another parallel.
Yeah, the need to conserve it and protect the land these plants may be growing on, which may be very limited at this point, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's
exactly right.
That's absolutely critical. And again, this gets back to you're demonstrating for them that their culture brings knowledge, has things to contribute to the dialogue, and it's not just they don't know anything. They're having to do this all if they're talking with you in English. I assume you don't know Marshallese, but maybe I'm wrong.
Not yet. Not yet. I don't know Marshallese just yet. That's a good point. I will be very, very grateful and fortunate to have some on-the-ground Marshallese support and assistance. But there's a lot of partnerships that have come together to make this possible. I'm so grateful for all of them. So I even have some full-time assistants. Actually, one girl who's a cadet at West Point sounds like a rock star when it comes to ocean science and swimming and ocean safety and all of that. So I'm very lucky to have her assisting me, as well as some other partnerships that have formed through University of Hawaii, for example. Of course, Prel being incredibly supportive. And regarding the local capacity building in Marshallese, any teachers from the high school, for example, I invite them to hang out with us the whole time. And I'll rely on some of the older students and some of my on-the-ground Marshallese help for any kind of language issues that come up, because yes, it will be in English. With that said, I'm going in ready to gauge their level of comfort with English in general before we get into some of these really complex science terms. For example, we like to say, you know, science-ese or legalese, like they're languages of themselves sometimes. So before I get really thick into some of the Latin, for example, species names of these marine invertebrates, we'll gauge where everybody's level of comfort is first.
Yeah, no, very, very important to be able to do that and have those sort of interpreters who can help translate, because there are ideas and concepts that don't translate neatly.
Totally.
I was working on a poster at one point, and we were talking about the term erosion. And our Japanese colleagues sort of said, well, we don't really have a term for that in Yapi. It'll take a whole paragraph to explain that, basically. And it's good to know, you know.
Yes.
Okay, we're not going to capture that one quite so neatly on a little blurb, you know.
That's really well said, Ethan. In fact, people in the Marshall Islands talk about Yahweh, and the word Yahweh kind of similar to aloha, embodying and encompassing so much more, the one word alone. So you're right. We'll have to just work with what we have and what we're able to grasp in those 2 weeks.
That's great, and I trust you're going to deal with some of my favorite issues around water there.
Yes, lots of water quality, water safety.
Because Ebeye has, as you can see from that map, right? They have nothing in the way of springs or rivers or lakes or anything.
That's right.
No real groundwater to work with.
That's exactly right.
Is not particularly in good shape, and they rely on rainwater catchment, or they get it from Kwajalein, which is not a very sustainable model to keep importing your water.
That's exactly right. We'll be talking about freshwater quite a bit, especially because the most recent data around sea level rise now is about the freshwater lens being completely inundated. So that understanding alone, if I could at least teach the kids what a freshwater lens is and what saltwater inundation means. And I hear you regarding erosion, and I know some of these terms can be rather thick, but I think I'm confident we'll be able to break them down. We're going to use a lot of acting and my horrible artwork attempts to show some of these concepts. I think visual learning and, again, getting in the water, that'll be the best way for them to get it.
Absolutely. Well, this sounds like a fantastic program, Carol. I look forward to hearing more about it, and maybe after the summer's over, we can get you back on. You can show us some pictures from it and talk to us about it.
I would love that. I would love that.
Until that time, I hope you'll join us in 2 weeks for another episode of Pacific Partnerships in Education. I'm your host, Ethan Allen, signing off till then.
Thank you so much, you guys.